What is up everyone, Steve here, and in this video we're going to learn how to make a timer in Unity. So there are many different ways to make timers in Unity, and we'll be covering 4 specific ways to make timers in Unity. And because we're going to be covering 4 different ways of making timers, I'll probably be splitting these videos into a few different parts. So let's get started. So here I have my Unity scene open, and it's a simple 2D scene, and I have added a TMP text game object over here, and I have created a Unity C# script, and I have named it timer. So let's open the script. So this is the default Unity script, and the first thing I'll do is I'm going to delete some of the stuff that we don't need over here, and I'm also going to delete the start and update function for now. So to make a timer using the update function and time.deltaTime, we would need a couple of variables to track to basically track our timer, and like the timer state, like whether the timer is active or not, and what the current time is, and all that stuff. So we'll need 4 variables to be specific. The first one will be a float variable called max time, so we can set the maximum timer for the countdown through the inspector tab. Then we'll need another float variable called time left that keeps track of the current time. Then we're going to need a bool variable that is going to keep track of whether the timer is active or not. And finally, we're going to need a reference to the TextMesh Pro text game object in the scene. So let's create those variables first. So I'm done with the variables now, and now we're gonna create the start function where we initialize the time left variable and the text for the timer text. So this way of joining strings is totally fine, but I don't really prefer this, so I'm going to change this to a concatenated string. So with that, we have our start function done. Now let's write the update function. We have our update function done too. So what I'm doing in the update function is first I check if my timer is enabled, and if my timer is enabled, I deduct time.deltaTime from the time left variable to update the time. Then I check if my time left is less than 0, and if it's less than 0, then I basically ran out of time, so I update the text of timer text to you ran out of time. And then finally I change the timer enabled variable to false over here. Otherwise, I just set the timer.text to the updated text or to the updated time. So that should work. So let's go back to Unity and see if this works. And before we can see if our script works, we need to link some components over here. First, we need to drag and drop the timer text over here, and let's set the max time to 10. And as we can see, our timer is working fine, but there's one tiny issue. It's that we can see the fractional part over here, and we know that timers don't really work like that in games. So there's an easy fix for this. We can go back to a script, and before adding the time left variable to the string, we can cast it to an integer that's going to drop the fraction part or the decimal part of the float variable. And now our timer should work exactly how we want it to. So as we can see, the timer is working fine now. So that's all for today's video, and I really hope you guys got to learn something out of this video, and thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next video.